My squad and I came across something terrifying in Iraq. Things changed forever when those towers came down in 2001. I was 19 at the time, eager to enlist, and that's exactly what I did. I became a soldier, longing to kill as many of the bastards behind the attacks as I could. I don't regret enlisting, but there's one city in Iraq that I wish I had never stepped foot in. In 2003, the US government sanctioned and conducted a full-scale invasion of Iraq. I was among the boys sent over there. Personally, I thought what became known as the Iraq War was gonna end in a week, and it was only a matter of time until we had Saddam Hussein's body. My squad and I were sent into a small city. No, I won't give away the name. To assist in clearing buildings with Marines, with SEALs providing overwatch from various rooftops. It was simple, but brutal. I wanted nothing more than to be back home. Walking upstairs with 40 to 60 pounds of gear, finding locals who were told to evacuate long before we took the city, and the unbearable heat of the Middle East didn't help anything. We cleared structures well into the evening, and by nightfall we came across what appeared to be apartments. We stopped for the night in one of these apartments, taking advantage of whatever food we could find. By midnight, we were all pretty worn out, and some of us were already asleep. Not me. I lay there, staring at the ceiling as jets and helicopters whirred in the distance. If not the sound, then the faces of the few men I had killed in combat up to this point kept me awake. I was about to drift off to sleep when I was jolted awake by an unfamiliar sound. I knew what sounds I should be hearing. Tanks, jets, gunshots, all of which should have been well away from where we were set up. But this was different. It sounded like laughing. I sat up, straining my ears. It didn't seem like it was coming from inside the apartment, or even the building for that matter. It sounded distant, like the other noises. But it was there. A little kid's laugh, as if they were having the time of their life. It was weird, but I was too tired and sore to care. Slowly, I drifted back to sleep. I was shaken awake by someone in my squad. For the sake of anonymity, we'll call him John. He shook me and told me to come look at something. As I stood up, I noticed my other squad mates gazing out the window, trying not to give their presence away. Look across the street, second-story window. There's somebody watching us, John said. I looked out, and sure enough, even in the darkness of the street outside, I could see a silhouette. Motionless, standing, staring in our direction. How long have they been standing there? I asked. No idea. Wolowitz got up to piss and just happened to see it, John replied. I glanced at Wolowitz, who nodded in confirmation. You think it's a scout? Someone else asked. Maybe, John said. But that building's supposed to be cleared. No one should be there. He was right, which made the situation even more unsettling. John, you still got that rifle with the thermal scope? I asked. John nodded, went to grab it, and handed it to me. I looked through the scope, switching it to thermal imaging. And what I saw sent chills down my spine. Dude, no heat signature. It's not a person, John said. I looked again through the scope. He was right. It looked like an empty window. But when I lowered the gun, the silhouette was still there, clear as day. Maybe it's a coat rack, or a mirror, someone suggested. It seemed plausible until we saw it. Whatever it was, walked away from the window, disappearing from view. What the fuck? John and I said at the same time. I grabbed my radio. Grab your gear, we're going over there. If it's a scout, we need to grab them now, I said, calling it in. After a tense argument with HQ, we got the green light. Looking back, I wasn't afraid, just confused, nervous maybe, but not scared. Not yet. John stayed back to provide overwatch from the apartment. I split the squad, half at the rear of the building, half with me as we breached the front. We placed small explosives on the door, and in a flash we were inside, clearing room by room, floor by floor. We reached the top floor and found nothing. The place was completely empty. "You see anyone leave?" I radioed to the guys covering the back. "Negative." We checked for tunnel systems, hidden exits. Nothing. There was no way anyone could have slipped out. The place was a ghost town. Bang. We ducked for cover, hearts racing. Then came the screaming. Screams I'll never forget, coming from across the street. "John," I said, panic rising in my throat. We sprinted back to the apartment. What I saw will stay with me forever. John was dead, lying in a pool of blood, the look on his face frozen in terror. But that wasn't the worst part. His hands, his feet, his tongue, and his eyes, they were gone. "Jesus Christ," someone whispered, voice trembling. Bloody handprints lined the walls and ceiling, as if whatever did this had crawled away. I was on the verge of tears. John had been one of my closest friends. We followed the prints to a far room, and then they just stopped. Like whatever it was had vanished into thin air. We bugged out that night with John's body. I couldn't bear the thought of his mother seeing her son like that. We attended his funeral back home, and when asked what happened, we told them some sicko got to him before we could. My squad and I never talk about that night, out of respect and fear. I'm sharing this now, hoping someone out there can tell me what I saw, or if anyone else has a similar story. These bolded descriptions give a clear sense of the kind of images that would accompany and complement the different sections of the story.
And that's it for tonight's story. But don't worry, the darkness always has more tales to tell. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next chilling episode. I've got something really special planned for next time. And trust me, you won't want to face it alone. So, stay tuned. And until then, keep your lights on and your doors locked.